Hi guys, my name is Ramsey and welcome back to my channel. As you know, we're always talking about automation stuff here and how to improve your business and your business processes and leverage the power of AI and automation. Well, AI and automation are not necessarily the same thing, though they do go hand in hand, because you can also leverage the power of AI in automation. And that's something I want to do today. Now, in all fairness, we're already having a lot of this going around. Claude released their Opus 4.6 just recently, and there have been a lot of people talking about using Claude Code to help them work with n8n and build automations and stuff like that. But I haven't seen a lot on Codex, GPT 5.3 Codex, which is actually pretty damn good. I've also been using it. So I thought I'd make a video about that. And the idea is, if you just go check out the release article for GPT 5.3 Codex, you should see OpenAI's article there. If you just go search, and they're saying we're introducing a new model that unlocks even more of what Codex can do. So it's primarily for Codex. I don't think I've seen GPT 5.3 on ChatGPT, though I'm looking forward to that day. And they're talking about it having frontier agentic capabilities, sets new industry highs, and SWE Bench Pro. It's so funny because Codex, GPT 5.3 Codex and Opus 4.6, Claude Opus 4.6, were released within 30 minutes of each other. And when Opus released their 4.6 model, it actually topped the Software Engineering Bench Pro for like 27 minutes before GPT 5.3 Codex was released, and then it topped that. Yeah, so when Code 5.3 Codex came out, it toppled Opus 4.6 on the benchmark, which is pretty interesting because it only happened after 30 minutes. But yeah, it does pretty well, and it's got great web development capabilities and all of that. But I just decided to try it on n8n. And so, as you know, if you go to your ChatGPT, you can just click on Codex, and it takes you to the Codex screen, where you can either download the app or use it in the IDE or on the web or in your terminal. I prefer to download the desktop app. So if you click on the download desktop app, it should download, and basically it looks something a little like this, at least on Mac. This is what I'm seeing, right? And in here you can have chats, you can connect it to projects like folders in your computer or repositories in your GitHub, that kind of thing. And the fun part is you can also connect it to n8n. So basically, when you are here, you should connect it to your GitHub. There's a button you can click connecting to GitHub, in which case when you connect it to GitHub, it'll ask you for permissions directly, and you can just like accept permissions. And then from there you can work with any repository. Now, one thing I immediately did when I downloaded this thing was get like a kind of like template for how to do n8n stuff. And basically, you'll see here that it creates the folder, and you can actually inspect that folder with VS Code. So another thing is, it's probably a good idea for you to have VS Code in your computer. So this is VS Code, and you can see a good template for working with n8n is that you need some scripts. You need a folder for scripts. These are all the scripts that the Codex agent is going to run, sometimes when it's working on your machine, sometimes when it's pushing stuff to n8n, etc. Then you need a secrets folder. This is where you put like some of your secrets, etc. And you need a .n file. This is where you put like your credentials. And that way you also add these to your gitignore, because that means they won't be committed to your repository when you're pushing to GitHub, which means your credentials and secrets aren't going to get stolen, because you do not want that to happen, okay? So it loads like, with this, I just had actually GPT Codex create this for me, this file structure, folder structure, and I have it on my GitHub. I'm going to leave a link. It's entirely public. You can clone it, fork it, whatever. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description. But there's also a workflows folder where it looks at like your active workflows and the archive workflows. And you can actually have a chat with Codex to modify this file structure as you see fit, right? And then of course, it's also going to need something like an agents.md where it defines like, you know, how it's supposed to behave, like objectives or workflow rules or project conventions, a definition of done, right? And the fun part. Fun part is you need to add n8n credentials. Now, there's two ways about this. I could walk you through it, or you can watch me ask Codex on how to do that, and then we can do it together. Because I've done this before. This is like the second project I created just for this video. I've done it before, and I actually set up all the files I needed with Codex's help. So, for example, when you might come here and be like, okay, so I'd like to share access to my n8n via API in the folder structure. Tell me or walk me through it using best security practices or whatever, right? And it's going to be thinking for a minute. I've chosen, here you can see you can actually choose which model. I'm using GPT 5.3 Codex, and you can choose the reasoning level. So low, medium, high, extra high. I'm using medium because we're not doing anything hard. And also, the higher the reasoning level, the longer it thinks. So it kind of slows you down. So it depends. You'll see how it goes. Another thing is, as soon as you have it like add a project, a good practice is to just have it basically initialize Git in that project, so you can start version control. And then you can start managing this thing with the branches and stuff, and you can push to your GitHub, which is also cool because then you have version control in your n8n indirectly. Everyone who doesn't have an enterprise plan or one of the business plans in n8n knows they can't do version control that very well. There are lots of like external solutions out there, but like what's cooler than just having an agent working on an n8n folder of all your workflows and maintaining version control to that and keeping it in line with whatever's in your n8n. And that way you can just keep like uploading or downloading whatever version you want to your n8n. I think that's a really nice way to do version control, and you can follow up on what's happening on GitHub. But anyway, so it's going to explain to us really well here. It says that secure pattern is already mostly scaffolded. That's in this template workflow. And then it tells you to create a local .n file from template. So it also tells you to generate a dedicated n8n key. We're going to see how you do this in n8n. And then put the secrets only in local files. So set values in the env file, and then keep any credential files under secrets, right? So that's for like different credentials that you might need in the future. So there's also like a secrets folder, right? And I think that's already here. We should have like a secrets folder. Do we have a secrets folder? There it is. And there's even like a little nice MD file there about how you can do secrets. Okay, so, and then you can test API access without exposing the key. All right, so we're going to do this. We're going to create a .n file here. You can see this .env.example. So in VS Code, I just click on a new file, and I would have it as .env, and there we have it. And then in there, mostly what you're going to need is an n8n base URL, like so, and then an n8n API key. So the n8n base URL is going to be something like that. And then you're going to need an n8n API key. Sorry, I have Copilot in my VS Code, so it keeps doing this autocomplete thing. Just in case yours doesn't do the same, because I don't even know who uses Copilot anymore. It's actually really sad. It's a really good thing, or was when it came out. So n8n base URL and n8n API key. And the way you get your base URL if you're using self-hosted is it's usually, if you are on cloud, it's just the n8n.io or whatever. But if you're on self-hosted, your base URL is an env variable, right? So for example, for me, I am using Railway. So you would just go to your like Railway instance or wherever you have your n8n Docker file, and you'd look at the environment variables, it'll tell you. But most of the time it'll be like whatever hosts your n8n is on. Like my self-hosted n8n is on my own domain. So that's probably the base URL too. And if you want, you can even change that base URL in the end file. But yeah, so like for me, I guess it's just gonna be Intelimate, n8n.intelimate.io. So we're gonna have that in here as HTTPS n8n.intelimate.io. Oh, sorry, .com, not .io. Oh, I wish it was .io. Let's see. So, and I can just confirm that by going to my Railway and looking at my end variables. Somewhere in there, we're going to see our base URL. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so you can see n8n base. There's the editor base URL, but there should also be like the base URL. Well, it should be somewhere. I'm not sure why it doesn't have this, but it should be, because it's the same even with the editor base URL. It's just n8n.intelimate.com. That's the base URL. And we can set that up there. And then the API key. So now your API key, you go to your n8n, and then you click in settings, which is this icon in the lower left, and you go to n8n API. And it should take you there where you can create an API key. So I'm going to name this Codex API key, and you can, I'm going to delete this. So you need to be careful with how you work with your API keys. I'm going to delete this, of course, after this video. Like for you, always make sure you don't expose your API keys. So just copy that, done, and you can come fill it in over here. So this doesn't need a space there, but this is that. And you've pretty much got what you need here. So you've set your n8n API key and n8n base URL. If we have any credential files, we go to the secrets folder. So that's where it is. And then verify git safety for any commit. So .gitignore already excludes .env and secrets. And so we can confirm that with like a git command here. And then you can, like for now that I already have this in my .env file, I could actually just come to Codex and tell it, okay, I've shared the API keys in env. Do a test to see if you can connect. Let's see how that goes. So it says .env is missing. Oh yeah, so, oh okay, so it says it's missing. And oh yeah, here's like a little gotcha I had when working with VS Code, mine doesn't automatically save. So I have to click Control S, because it's also like kind of working on like the whole Git thing where you have to explicitly save. So I've just done a Control S, and I'm just going to tell it, I have saved, check again, in the .env file. So you can just, the beautiful thing about Codex is you can talk to it in the middle of work, and you click on the steer button, so you send your message while it's working without interrupting its work. So it's like you're steering it. That's really cool. That is really cool. I bet you can probably do that with Claude Code too. I haven't actually used Claude Code. That's a bit embarrassing, but I love this particular feature of GPT 5.3 Codex. And you can also talk to it via mic. Weirdly, I kind of prefer to type to it, but you could also talk to it directly via the microphone. So let's see. I'm going to give it some time to think, and it's probably going to do an API call to n8n. Oh yeah, here's something else cool. If you hover over here, it'll tell you how much of the context window you've used. So it tells me I've used 8% of my context window. That's 21,000 tokens, and 92% or 258,000 tokens are left. And then it automatically compacts the content or the context. So this is where it's just like, once it fills up the context window, it does a summary of what has been happening, and then feeds that, like, gets like a new instance of the model to pick up where the other one left off with fresh context. So I like that. It can also tell you like when threads are starting to get stale, so you can avoid context rot and start a new chat or something, or get it to summarize with a little more detail than it would if it were doing automatic context compaction. But yeah, so it says here that the test result is not connected yet. It loaded, called n8n base URL with x n8n API key, output could not resolve host, HTTP status is 00. Please verify the n8n base URL. Okay, so yeah, so this is probably because I really didn't set that. And I know why, because like whatever server you're running n8n on has a kind of it has a network address. So because I'm running mine on Railway, it has like a network address that starts with like primary production blah 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 blah, and there's there's n8n.intelimate.com, but it doesn't seem to get that. So I'm just gonna swap that out, and this is like part of like working with Codex. Sometimes you have to decode some stuff, or you could even ask it, like, hey. You could explain to it what's happening and what's confusing you, and it will probably give you a solution. For me, sometimes I just like to kind of like slog through it because I love to solve a good problem. And then let's not forget to save that and see, okay, try again. I've changed the base URL. So we should see what it comes up with now. So it's saying it'll run. You can see the code it's running, the scripts it's running right here. This is a curl command. It also does like something in the shell. Still failing at DNS resolution, so I'm checking direct host name. Yeah, do you want to allow DNS lookup? Yeah, you could do that. The connection works now, so test result is there. Yeah, exactly. So you can actually see it says something about resolution, then hostname resolves when run unrestricted. So I'll try the API request with elevated network permissions. So it was actually something to do with the network permissions on my laptop, and it figured it out and it fixed it. And now you can see my n8n. I could even tell it to take a clone all of my active workflows and put it in the active workflow folder or something like that, Or I could tell it to, make a comment on my Git and after adding the workflows and stuff. Something else you might want to give it access to is maybe, like if you're working a lot in Google Drive, you might want to give it access to specific folders or sheets, that kind of thing. So what you would do, and you can actually ask it, I've done this in a separate thread, in a separate kind of thing. If I go to like the new project, and I have like even here how it helped me like come up with this, but like, it actually helped me set up a service account. I'm just gonna like look at the different file or folder that we're using here. It helped me set up a service account, right, in Google Cloud, and give that service account access to like a specific Google Sheet I was working with. And basically now it can go and work directly on my sheets or my drives. Here we have like some work I've been doing with it. And you can see it has all of my active workflows, the JSON for all of those. And it basically, I can show you like some of the workflows it's built for me. I've been doing like a scraper workflow that's running with Apify, and it actually built all of this, including sub workflows for me. And basically it's all in the form of a conversation. This is one long chat I've been having with it. And all I would have to do is go look at the workflow and test it and see if it actually works. Sometimes if the logic makes sense, and I come back to it. I even gave it a connection to my Supabase. And if you want like a dedicated video where we talk about like giving it all of these connections, you can actually talk to it and can walk you through it. But if you want like a dedicated video on that, let me know. But it has access to my Supabase. It's maintaining my database, building n8n stuff and connecting there. If it needs API access to anything, you can just add that in the secrets folder, and it will manage your GitHub. And you can tell it to roll back to a former version of a workflow, and then upload that former version to n8n. So you indirectly have version control. You can go back to different versions that you want to get back to just by talking to Codex. So in this way, it becomes like almost like a junior automations specialist, where it's actually doing the actual wiring up and implementation, and you're thinking about the high level strategy when you're working. I'm pretty sure people who've used Claude Opus 4.6 might feel the same thing. But like, I just wanted to make this for the people who might be interested in seeing how Codex can work with that. But like, that's the heart of it. You just need to give it API access to your n8n, connect it to your GitHub so you can manage that, and have it walk you through any other kind of access that it's going to need when it's working, like whether it's your Google Cloud or some database somewhere, or some other application somewhere, especially if it's like about credential storage. You can actually manage all your credentials in the secrets folder, and you can parallel whatever credentials you're having in your n8n. So I hope that helps. And I'm looking to do some cool automations with Codex, like doing this grunt work, and maybe I'll share some of them. But it really helps to put the builder of the automations at a higher level, where like you're thinking more about the architecture of your automations and the strategy and the kind of logic going behind them, rather than doing the actual wiring. And I think that's something really cool about Codex and AI in general. So let me know what you think, and let me know what you might have used Codex for as far as automation is concerned. And if you also want to chat with me, my email is going to be in the comments. So if you want to like have us help you improve your business or integrate AI into your business more and automate your business processes, you can email me and we can have a chat about it. Until next time, ciao Bella. Bye-bye.